Welcome to the Dean Bleckman Show, live from Long Island. Free-flowing talk with a charismatic, down-to-earth host. Join Dean as he interviews and chats freely with his guests, ranging from superstar athletes to politicians, industry titans, and everyday folk with fascinating life stories. Dean educates, entertains, and most of all, touches people's lives. You're listening to the Dean Bleckman Show, live from Long Island.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dean Bleckman Show. My guest today is a young lady that has tremendous passion for the entertainment industry and the art of filmmaking. In less than a year, she has produced over 20 independent film projects. Cynthia Bravo, welcome to the Dean Bleckman Show.
Hi, Dean. Thank you so much for having me.
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? In the heart of LA and Hollywood, it is an honor to have you coming all the way here to Setauket, Long Island.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So one thing I didn't say is a burst of energy and an award-winning producer, director, and actress. I don't think there's anything. I don't think that you don't look anything more than 20 years old, and I don't think there's anything that you haven't done yet.
Well, I think there's plenty that I haven't done yet, but so far so good. It's going, it's moving. So I think I've accomplished a lot for my age and the time that I've been in LA. But I promise you, there's plenty more. So you can hear about me later too. You can re-interview me in 5 years, and then we can look back at this point and say, okay, yeah, there was more.
Well, listen, this is, you use the word interview, and what I find is unique about my show and my vision, it's only 4 months old, is I really did not want my show to be an interview. I wanted it to be more of a conversation with special guests like you, and that have a spontaneity about it, and keep it real with full transparency. And I think that's where we could, if I could have a couple of people from every show that I do that said, wow, what a guest, or what a subject or topic, and how it inspired or educated and made a difference in their lives. That's what makes this show great, me getting up every day and doing it.
Yeah, that's true. I listened to a couple of your shows, and they're very dynamic. So that's really good. You have good stuff going on.
Well,
that's good. That means that I can crack up a joke anytime, right?
You can say a joke anytime you want, Cynthia.
I'll try not to.
And I'll tell you one thing: your last name, Bravo, is very appropriate for you.
Right? It's not that uncommon in Mexico, but here a lot of people mention that, like, it's Bravo. It's like, nice, cool. So I don't have to change it for any artistic name or anything. I already have it. So that's cool.
As I said to the audience listening, that I like a lot of spontaneity and transparency with my shows. And you and I had only spoke for, maybe 10 minutes. And it's amazing that what I walked away from there is exactly what's stated on your IMDb page. That Cynthia Bravo, you are a heart of passion, a soul that will never step fighting, and you have an incredible smile that will always shine. It's unbelievable. You are blessed, and it sounds like your husband recently connected with me on our show Facebook page recently. He's a lucky man.
Oh, thank you. I think you and my mom would get along well with so many compliments.
Yeah, what your husband? Your husband?
She's my biggest fan.
Really? Maybe she wants to come on the show sometime.
Maybe. Her English is not that good though, but I can translate. She can only say good things though. Sometimes I'm a little bit embarrassed for so many things that she says. Yeah, but she's proud.
Well, we've got to go back. Let's go back in time of your youth, and I know that you were born in the avocado capital of the world. I mean, I love avocado guacamole. I love it with all my food. I'm not even going to take a chance at pronouncing the city or town you grew up in. What's the name of it again?
It's Uruapan, Michoacán, and you are correct. It's the avocado capital of the world. That's the main fruit that grows there, and it's the biggest exporter in the world. So yeah, it's nice to have that delicious food in hand any time of the year.
Unbelievable. So tell me a little bit about siblings, family growing up in Mexico. If you could just share a little history on that.
Absolutely. So yes, I was born in Uruapan, but I didn't grow all my life there because that's a city not too big, maybe 500,000 people. So we moved to the capital of the state, which is Morelia, where I grew up more. But then I moved to another city for like college. So I've been always like moving around a lot. I started college in Querétaro and then, no, sorry, I started in Morelia, then I moved to Querétaro. Then I did like internship programs around the world. I'm very antsy. I like to be doing stuff and always like trying new stuff. I love traveling. I went backpacking through Europe once and then again on a tour with my family. At any chance that I have to like try something new, meet new people, go to a new place, I will take it. So yes, I was born in Uruapan, but I didn't spend all my life there. Most of my life was in Morelia, and then again college in Querétaro, which is another state, very, very beautiful. All Mexico is fantastic. For anyone that hasn't been there, they have to. So many beautiful cities that you have to meet, so much culture. The food is amazing. People usually love it, so it's easy to promote it when you have more people backing you up. But anywho, I did that. Traveling-wise, I did an internship program in Thailand. I don't think I mentioned that, but that's, I think, one of the wildest places I've been. Well, not wild, different. The culture was different, and I was there for a month. Anywho, I did my undergrad in business administration, and after I graduated, because I've always loved acting, I kind of told my parents, okay, this undergrad is for you. You know that I love acting. So now I'm going to do another undergrad in acting. So they couldn't say no because I delivered. Both my parents are entrepreneurs. So I had to go to business school. It's funny because I always wanted to do the acting thing. And when I was like looking at colleges and deciding where to go, acting was a possibility, going to theater. But in my family, it wasn't like a real profession. It was like, no, don't do that. Like, think about it. You want something safer, something stable. So I was kindly persuaded not to. It's not like I was said no, but I was like persuaded not to. So but during all my studies, I was always part of the theater groups and any other activity that was part of the college. I was always volunteer, first one to do it, and theater was one of the main ones. And for every single presentation, my mom was always there. Like if I presented the same play 10 times, my mom was 10 times laughing her lungs out at the same joke. So I always knew she was in the audience. So she was very supportive for me and acting, even though I was like steered to go to business. So when I graduated and I told them, like I want to pursue this like full time, they were very, very supportive. So I moved to Vancouver after graduation and I enrolled in a conservatory program, an acting program at UBC. It's a really, really good program. They take about like 12 to 14 students a year and you have to audition for it. So that's a funny story.
So you went from Mexico to Vancouver.
That is correct. That is correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And about what age, what year was that you came over to Vancouver?
Well, I graduated 2008, so I guess 2008 I moved to Vancouver for 2 years. Or 2009, that's more accurate. 2009, because I had to audition for the program, and I had to wait for it to start in September. So, but yeah, that's a really fun story if you want to hear it. How I got to Vancouver.
Go ahead. Let's hear the story. How you ended up in Vancouver. Before you get into the Vancouver story, I have to mention how we met was a really great guy by the name of Josh Mitchell, your publicist in Hollywood, in LA, with wicked piece of publicity. Just a tremendous guy. And, I was able to tell after 10 minutes that I was honored for you to be on the show here today, because I got a feeling that a year from now, your schedule, it's going to be impossible for you to make time to be on the show. So it's great that you're able to be here.
Oh, thank you. And John is fantastic. He's very energetic, very, like, he's a go-getter. He's really, really good at what
he contacted me. He wrote an email. He said, I've got a young lady that's a star today and even bigger in the future. And he said, you've got to have her on your show.
Nice. That's good to hear.
So
he's doing good.
go ahead. How you ended up in Vancouver?
So I was researching like just conservatory programs, right? And I found this one that was really good. It has a really good theater program, very like unique. So I decided that I wanted to apply. The funny part here is that I got so into the application process. I was going back and forth with the admissions department for like 3 months, because they didn't have like all my documents, and they needed more stuff, and it had to be translated, and there was like a lot of steps. So I spent 3 months going back and forth with the administration part, until like a week before it was the audition, and I was like, well, should I still go to the audition? I don't know if you have all my documents. What should I do? Because I need to book a flight. And they said, oh, yeah, this is independent from that. I was like, what? So anywho, I looked online, I booked a ticket, and then less than a week, I was in Vancouver. And I arrived there. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to audition, and I have nothing prepared. Like, I really had no monologue, nothing. That you had to present 2 monologues and sing a song to get into that program. Wow. So I arrived at Vancouver, and I realized that now I have to memorize a monologue for the next day. Not a monologue, like 2 monologues. And it's theater, so if you say a monologue, you must understand the play, you must understand the playwright, you must know what you're saying. You cannot just memorize lines and just spit them out on the stage. And they wanted like a classical piece and a contemporary piece. So I started freaking out a little bit, because I'm already there and about to audition. Like, it was like the day after or 2 days after I landed. So I contacted my friends, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm here. And they're like, relax. You've done theater all your life. I'm sure you know a monologue. And I was, okay, wow. That's true. So I started like recalling all the plays that I've been in. And so I got a monologue from the play Our Town from Thornton Wilde. And I was like, okay, I was in that play. I wasn't the lead role on that one, but of course I knew the play in depth. So then I looked for the monologue of that play, and that was going to be like one of the monologues. And then the other monologue, I chose it from, I think, a movie. I don't remember. I just remember that vividly. So there I am in Vancouver, walking around like a crazy lady, just repeating the monologue and finding parks to rehearse my monologue. And then I was like, okay, good. I have monologues. Now I have to sing a song. I'm not a singer. So I was like, okay, so a musical. What have I seen lately? It was like Chicago. Perfect. I love Chicago. So then I found the song from Chicago and all that jazz.
Yes.
I was like, okay, I know this song. Like, I sang it with my friends for so many times. I'm going to do that. Perfect. Comes the audition, and I did the monologues. I have to sing the song. So the monologues were great. The song, I did the first verse, and then I went blank. I could not remember for my life the lyrics.
Your mind just
went
blank. You couldn't even remember.
Yeah, it was crazy, because that was like the safe thing. That's what I already knew for like a long time ago. So I started like dating the song. I was like da 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 on the stage, because I was like, by the way, the audition was in a theater with like all the faculty members looking at you. And I was like, oh my God. But anywho, I committed. I dated that song like nobody else has. And apparently, like, it was good, because they don't care about the song. They care about the rhythm, because you do a lot of Shakespeare. So as long as you can like maintain the rhythm of the song, that's the whole purpose of it. So anyhow, it was just interesting that I oversaw the most important part of the process for being like so focused into something of administration thing.
So that's where the schooling and the focus, everything started in Vancouver. And then And then you have your Bachelor of Fine Arts in Marketing and your Master's of Fine Arts from UCLA. Am I correct?
No, well, in Vancouver was the Bachelor in Acting, but I didn't finish it. On the last year, I decided to move to LA. That was in 2011 because I already had a Bachelor in Business Administration. So then I realized I could go directly for the Master's. So I looked for programs in Los Angeles and then I moved to LA and I did my Master's in Acting for Film. And then after the Master's, I did producing at UCLA. So I think I've done a lot of school in retrospect.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You speak beautifully. Did you ever take speaking lessons?
No, actually, it's something that I'm working on because for acting, I need to soften my accent, preferably get rid of it, because otherwise I'm very cast-typed into someone that's not from the U.S. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
I have the accent. So, but thank you. That's good to know.
You speak beautiful.
Thank you.
You really
That's
do. And
nice.
I've got to go back a little bit to childhood still and ask you, as a child, what was your first movie watching experience in a theater, and how did it affect you?
Oh wow! I don't remember my first movie watching experience. I remember the first time I was on stage, which was in kindergarten.
Wow,
The
kindergarten.
first, I know it's crazy.
Unbelievable.
So it is. So in Mexico, there's this tradition of doing a play about Jesus and Christmas time and how Virgin Mary gets approached by the Holy Spirit and all this religious stuff. So I don't know if you know about it. They're called pastorelas.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
Let
so
me
it's
let me
very
hear
common.
about it. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, it's just interpreting what happened according to religion, and schools do it and several organizations do it. It's just an event. It's going to a play and you see Jose and Maria walking and going door to door asking for asylum, and no one gives them, and then they ended up at the farm where Jesus is born. So that story, right? And it's very traditional that you do it every year and you just put it on the stage. It's a play. So this was an event for kindergarten, right? So it's the little kids doing the plays. But that was an event that was reserved for people in third grade of kindergarten. So I don't know how you say it here in the US, but it's you have 3 levels of kindergarten. So the oldest boys do that, right? And they have the event. So the girl that was playing Virgin Mary, she got chickenpox.
Wow.
So a week before the presentation was on, they didn't have a Virgin Mary, which had a lot of lines, and of course she's kind of the lead. So what they did is they took all the girls from all the levels of kindergarten, and they made us kind of say the lines and see who could memorize them. It was just a matter of memorizing the lines. So I was on second grade, and it turns out I was the one that could memorize them and follow directions. So suddenly I became Virgin Mary. So what I do remember about being on the stage is that when we were rehearsing, we had to go to spot 1, say a line, spot 2, say another line, and then final spot, say another line, and stay still.
Wow.
That was the direction, stay still. And why it's so embedded in my memory, it's because I remember doing all the things, going to the final position and staying still and looking around, and the boy that was playing, Jose, was playing. I looked to the other side, and the boys that were playing the angels were just goofing around and running, and I was still like a mannequin, just frozen. And I was thinking, but we have to stay still. And I was so preoccupied because there's an audience, there's the fathers, everyone, and they weren't staying still. So I was just frozen, just following directions and just thinking they are not doing it correctly. So anywho, when it finished, it was maybe 10-15 minutes. It wasn't that much. But when everything was over, of course, everyone came and praised me because I was the little girl that stood in her place till the very end. So it's very embedded in my memory.
That's a great story. And what's really impactful is that that at the young age in kindergarten, you still remember that experience. That's remarkable.
Right? That's what I find most interesting, because it's not like I remember everything, but that was so strong for me that I was so focused that I just remember it. I see myself as a little girl worried about people moving.
So I've got to ask you, as a young kid growing up, what were your two favorite films growing up?
Let me think.
Because my second question is going to be, as an adult, what your two favorite films are.
Okay, it was, I think, more cartoons, not films. As a little girl, I like, I don't know the name in English, but it's Pequeña Lulu, like the little Lulu. It's just, she was a very smart girl. It was a cartoon, and she was a little smartass. I think I felt identified with her, but I love seeing it. I could see like 1,000 times. Then there was there was a movie cartoon also about dinosaurs, and a little dinosaur losing his mom. I think it's called like Smallfoot or something like that. I don't remember the name, but I could see that movie also like so many times as a kid. So yeah, more than films, I think there were cartoons. And then as I grew older and I could like actually consciously see, have an opinionated point of view of what films do I like, one of the films that has impacted me the most and I really liked, it's Dogville with Nicole Kidman.
Oh, wow.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen it, but she's a favorite.
You have to see it.
She's a favorite actress of mine.
She's so good in that film, and that film is just brilliant. It's really good. Dogville. For anyone who's hearing this, they have to watch it. And the reason why I liked it a lot, I was already doing like school theater when I saw it, so I was already like very committed into acting, and just I loved it. This was in high school, or maybe in the first year of college. I don't remember exactly, but the film is brilliant. It's done like in a stage. Like you see, the set is just the walls of the like city drawn on the floor. So it's like a blueprint of a town, and there are no walls. So all the characters walk in and out through lines. So I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but it was like a theater piece for film, but it's brilliantly done, and it's about a small town. And I personally thought that the analogy was that in the small town, there's no walls, there's nothing. You can actually know what's happening, but everyone pretends that nothing's happening, you know?
I understand.
And it's really good. So that, I don't know how it resonated with me a lot. One, because it's very artistic. It has, Nicole Kidman's character is just wonderful. It's very much like she wants to belong, but she doesn't belong there. I don't want to give it away, but it's really good. So that's one of the films that really, really impacted me. What other film do I like? I don't know. It's random, like The Notebook, obviously, because I'm a girl, and who doesn't like The Notebook as a girl? So I don't know. It's random. I think it depends on the mood.
And how about some of your favorite actors and actresses?
Well, Meryl Streep. I think she's just fantastic.
Great.
Yeah, but everyone loves her. Who wouldn't? I really like Sandra Bullock, and I like the characters that she does. So does Julia Roberts. Those are like the people, like my role models. Like, oh, I wanna be like them. I wanna play those characters.
I love all of them.
Good. So
everyone so far. There's one I don't like. None of them yet. Every one of them, I think they're terrific.
Yeah, they're really good, and they make smart choices too. Like the roles that they pick, they're rounded. They're good. Well, even when it's comedy, like I don't know, Sandra Bullock. Even when she does comedy, she finds those characters that are complete. Like they have an arc. They tell more than just the comedy storyline. So I like that a lot.
Well, let's talk more about the star Cynthia Bravo. I don't know. You are an award-winning producer. You're a director, you're an actress, all these things fully integrated. I want to focus on two things that you do every day, and that is you're also the CEO of a production company called GLIX Entertainment, and you have a nonprofit organization, GLIX for the arts. Why don't you get into, for the audience, share with them the GLIX Entertainment, and then obviously the nonprofit organization GLIX for the arts.
Yes, yeah. GLIX Entertainment is a company that my husband and I founded, and it's our company, like, to produce our films. So we've been doing a lot of independent projects in-house. In-house meaning, like, we produce them from the ground, and we've also been hired by other producers to produce our films. So the focus on that is create smart content on a budget level, because when you're talking film, sometimes you say, yeah, this is a low budget film, it's like $10 million, super low budget. And then there's the ultra low budget, like that it's $200,000, and there's a no budget. So it's different, like, categories. So right now we've been doing ultra low budget films and modified low budget films, which is like very, very restricted on the budget, but trying to create as highest quality possible, as highest production value, so that you don't notice at all the budget, and then you're competing with the bigger boys, the bigger companies in the industry. Eventually, of course, we want to get into bigger budgets, but as a startup company, we've done a couple of films with very limited resources and excellent results. So that's our focus.
So
we have
in less than a year, these 20 independent film projects you worked on and GLIX Entertainment, what could be a range, once again, of the budgets for these films?
Well, it depends. Like, the 20 projects are a mix of short films, feature films, commercials, different stuff that we've done. For the feature films that we've done in-house, they are all below 500,000.
Okay.
So $500,000, less than $500,000, and some of them are less than 200,000. And I've not with GLIX as a in-house production, but hired by. I've worked on projects that are even $20,000. So it's really different, the budgets that we do. And what I believe is that when you have the passion, when you have the story, money should not matter at all. I've met wonderful directors, wonderful screenwriters, people that just want to do it, and we come up with really good stuff without having to wait for the budget to come, or waiting for Warner Brothers to pick up your script to do it. So I believe in passion. That's my biggest thing, because you can find a lot of people that are just as committed as you and are willing to help you out, and they just want to do it. So it's about that, finding a really good team and just doing it. So you should never be limited. Art itself should never be limited to money. But in film, it happens a lot. It used to happen. I don't think anymore. But before, when there wasn't any digital, if you wanted to do film, just the budget for film was $100,000 just for the actual film. So you were like hopeless. You had to wait for someone to pick up your script, or someone to put a lot of money to trust you, and maybe you're a first-time director, and then you're just waiting. And now with digital cameras, like, you don't need that. All you need is having a good story, being passionate, and just daring to do it. Do not wait for it. So that's what we've been doing. We've been helping a lot of first-time directors. We have cameras, we have equipment, and we try to work with everyone regardless of budget.
It sure helped that you married a cinematographer.
It did. It helps a lot. I cannot deny that. No, actually, I met my husband working, because I was doing a short film that I was directing, and I needed a cinematographer. And a mutual friend of ours recommended him. She said, he's the best. You should contact him. He will help you. Because as anyone else that's starting, you sometimes don't have the money or the resources. You just want to do something. So you need those people that I'm talking about. So she said, no, talk to Gonzalo. He will help you. He's the best. So I talked to Gonzalo, which is his name, and he was the best, for sure. So
I
married him.
So you went ahead and you mixed love with business.
I did. He was too good. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic cinematographer. But no, that's also like a funny personal story, because the first time I've met him before, like wrap party events, or like he had been the DP of projects of a friend of mine, so I've seen him around. It's not like he was a stranger for me. We've met, we've talked, but just like casually. So when I asked him to like be the DP for my short film, we met, and I told him I want to invite you for lunch so we can discuss my film and what I want. So he said yeah. So we went out for like lunch, and I had prepared like all my shot list, what I wanted to do, and I was showing him what I needed, and he was like, yeah, I can do that. So how many brothers do you have? I was like, what?
So Cynthia, come on, be honest. Who made the first move?
I think he did. I mean, that first time I didn't know, like, it wasn't like it was a date, but it was like an opportunity for a date. He took it, and he did well. But it was funny. I was thinking like, well, I have two brothers, but this is the shot that I want to do. Because in my mind, I was just going to discuss like the short film that I was doing. But anywho, that's how we met. Well, we had met before, but that's how we started like hanging out and talking. And yeah, I ended up marrying him.
Terrific. So GLIX Entertainment was started in 2012, correct?
Yes.
So you produce and direct and even act. There's your own projects that fall under GLIX Entertainment. And then obviously, if anybody wants to contact GLIX to obviously have a project produced, they would come to your company as well.
Yes, that we do a lot of that, more than in-house, because for in-house it takes a lot of more time and planning. So we do 2 or 3 projects in-house, and then the rest of the year we're super busy just working on somebody else's projects. So yes, they can contact us. We have production insurance, equipment, anything that's needed. So we just act as the associated production company, or even guidance. Sometimes people come to us just like for consultation and just asking for stuff, and we're very open in regards to that, because it's more about building relationships, I think. So we are really open to helping anyone that just has a simple question, or doing the breakdowns for their script, or having a preliminary schedule or preliminary budget, stuff like that we can also do. So yeah, that's our day-to-day stuff.
Is there anything that GLIX Entertainment does not do?
VFX. Not yet. No, I think the film industry is so complex, and it has so many areas that there is a couple of things that we don't do. Post-production, we do editing and color. We don't do sound design in-house, but we're partnered with a company that does fantastic sound design. So when we get a project, then we pass it on to that company. Or the VFX, same thing. When we need something VFX wise, then we pass it on to another company that is really budget friendly and does a terrific job. So there are several areas that we do not do in-house, but we have the team to like just rely on and be sure that it's going to be up to the quality that we need.
So if anyone wants to learn about your company and the different projects that are being launched, they can go to glixentertainment.com, correct?
That is correct.
I've got to ask you, where does an idea for a movie usually begin for you?
Well, I'm not a writer, so I just select them. I have a lot of scripts coming to my email every day. People just submit scripts, and sometimes like that's where it comes from. Like we like a story, we think it has potential, and then we contact the writer and we start talking about that. And then like one of the last movies that I did, Hide in the Light, a horror film, that actually it's one of our in-house productions, and that started in our nonprofit GLIX for the Arts. That started as a short film, and we really liked the short film that we did. So when we completed that and did the festival run, we told the director, Mikey, we were like, hey, Mikey, why don't you write like a feature version of your story and we can produce it? So he went ahead and started writing, and like 72 drafts later, we had a script. So that's how we ended up with Hiding the Light. It was just completely developed with us, with just going back and forth with ideas, and it started with a short film. So it really depends on the type of project.
I mean, you must be flooded. Your inbox must be flooded with so many screenplays that are coming into you. How do you go through all them and decide which ones that you're gonna spend some time on?
Yeah, like it comes in seasons. Sometimes I have like too many emails and then I don't have any emails in regards to that. But personally, what we do is we start with is it affordable for us? We can have amazing stories, but if it's like very VFX heavy, or it requires big name talent, or it's set in Russia, I know for a fact that we won't be able to produce that right now. So that's something that I wouldn't consider, right? So, but let's say like I know what we can do. Like I know the budgets that we are comfortable working in right now with the resources that we have at the moment. So I start there. Like, is it something that we could do? Yes. Okay. Then we go into the story. Our process is they have to submit a log line and a short summary. And then if it's something that we think it can work, then we request the full script. And then if we like the script, then we option the script and then start working with the writer. Sometimes they can be also the directors. It's not like we're not Warner Brothers or any big studio that says, okay, I'm going to buy your script and then you're not involved with it. No, we're more like inclusive. We're a small production company and we want to create relationships so people can be attached to their script. They don't have to just give it away. They can be the director. They can be part of it in any way. Or even if they are just writers, like we request changes and they are the first ones to do it. We don't give it to another in-house writer to make the changes to their story. We want them to still feel that it's their story, that it's being done. So that's the process that we do. We start with, is it affordable for us? Is it possible for us to do? And then we go into finding the story that resonates with us, or we see that it has potential and we just want to dive into it.
Interesting. Very interesting. Once again, I just want the audience to be very clear on the two different GLIXs, and that's GLIX Entertainment and GLIX for the Arts. You want to go into a little bit more of GLIX for the Arts?
Yeah, absolutely. GLIX for the Arts, it's my other little baby, which is a nonprofit organization. And what we do in GLIX for the Arts is we provide guidance and resources to independent upcoming filmmakers, and guidance in whatever area they need. It's focused on short films. It's not for features. It's just like for practicing to get those projects up and going so that the directors have more experience or have even resume, because as I mentioned before, it's hard, like not having your first film produced or done. It can be very overwhelming. So GLIX for the Arts is just out there for anyone to join. There is no fees. There's nothing you have to pay, which is great. You don't find that anywhere. I haven't found it yet. I would do it if I found it, but it's just free. Like how it works is you have to help in 5 projects before you can submit your project to be produced. So let's say you have a short film that you want to do. So you join GLIX for the Arts, and then you help another 5 filmmakers that are doing their short films, and then you can submit yours. And then when we greenlit your project and it's ready to be produced, you know that the other filmmakers that you've helped before are going to help in yours. And the way of helping is in different like crew positions. One filmmaker is going to be the AD, another one is going to help gaffing, gripping, just average positions that are needed on set that you cannot like do without. And the only thing that you are not to volunteer in is sound, because we do pay a professional sound person. It's very important to have good sound. Cinematography, because we have a great DP, which is my husband, and producing, which I'm the one that produces the short films. So those 3 positions, we bring people that has more experience, but any other position is going to be filled by other filmmakers who share your same passion. So it's kind of like you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and together we're constantly creating content. So that's really good because you are constantly on set and you're constantly doing what you love. And at the end, you have short films that you directed or wrote or produced, and short films that you worked on, and they also help you for experience and resume. Because now when you go to another production that maybe is going to pay you, then you've worked on 5, 6, 7 sets before, so you are not unfamiliar with the terminology or what's expected from you. And this is a learning environment. This is just a group of friends. It's a family that we want to do stuff. We're passionate. We want to create content, and it's a great place to start and a great place to learn. So that's what we're doing with GLIX for the Arts. And then it's sponsored by GLIX Entertainment. So like the costs for equipment or cameras or festivals, or even a little bit of editing, it's covered by GLIX. So again, the filmmakers do not have to come out of pocket to do their films. We do have budget limits. So if your short film is above our budget limit, we can still do it. But that means that if you think you need $10,000 to do your film and we're only providing 5, that means that you have to provide the other 5, which is still a pretty good deal because you're doing your film for half the price. But we do have like restrictions on what type of content we can produce, because again, it's a nonprofit and it's about being smart and it's about utilizing the resources that we have. And it's, if you want to do something bigger, that's fine. But as a nonprofit, we cannot like take all the cost of that.
I guess all that dialogue just answered the question of what inspires Cynthia Bravo and what do you love most about your work. I think you just answered it.
Maybe I did, but I can make it more clear.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, you really, GLIX Entertainment, GLIX Entertainment, and GLIX for the Arts. Am I hearing that you pretty much are a company as well as a nonprofit organization, both combined, that really anyone that really is creative or wants to participate in any level of film, you really bring them an opportunity to get involved and participate and bring something to fruition. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, we try. We try to be there, and it's basically because that's what we love. Like my husband and I were both very passionate, and there's no place I'd rather be than set. So if I can be on set every single day, then I mean I cannot complain. It's really good. I love that, and there's a lot of people that like us, and we just love doing it. So it's a place where people can come and do it. And it's interesting because we've had a lot of people like cycle through GLIX. Like they come with us, and you don't have to stick with GLIX for the Arts forever. Like we have people that had gotten jobs at Warner Brothers, entry level or whatever, but they started with us and then they cannot continue with GLIX for the Arts because now they have a job at the studios, you know. But and then we have new members coming in, and we kind of like fill it up, and everyone comes and goes, and we're all friends, and it's just a cycle. Like we want to be that space where people can get more experience and just be passionate, and they will remember us. Maybe, I hope so.
So a lot of people get their first start at GLIX Entertainment and then move on to some of the bigger studios.
Yeah, some people have done that. Also because, I mean, being in LA is very competitive, so you need to have a strong resume. And if you have an opportunity of going to the bigger studios, it's great, it's awesome. So you have to take it.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about AFM last month, American Film Markets. You attended that function. Tell me what that's like, and what films did you show there?
Yeah, for anyone that's not familiar with it, the American Film Market, it's basically a market for films. So it's like a big convention where all the films that are available for sale to different territories, meaning the US, Canada, Europe, China, they just go to this one place, and it becomes like market, like a supermarket. So the Lowe's Hotel in Santa Monica gets emptied out of all the beds and furniture, and every single room gets converted into an office. So then the buyers, the people that are looking for content to bring back to their countries, literally just walk down the aisles of the hotel, go into each office or whatever office they want to go into, and select the films that they want to buy for their specific countries. So this year, I've attended AFM several times before, like 4 years before, as an attendee, because there's also conferences, there's a lot of educational programs. You can just go and be part of it. You don't have to be an exhibitor, it's called, when you are showing content. But this year was the first time that we attended as an exhibitor. So we rented our booth, we had our office, and we were representing 4 wonderful films. One was The Last Night In. That is the first film that I ever produced. Funny. We were also pre-selling Hide in the Light because it's still missing some VFX, so it's not completed, but we brought that film too. The Broken Legacy, another great film, and also The Last Train, a film with Lou Diamond Phillips. So we were bringing those 4 films into the market and presenting it to different buyers. We had amazing responses. It was overwhelming. It was really good. The market, especially because it was the first time that we were there as sellers, like just showing content to people. So we had a lot of response, especially from the Asian market, Hong Kong, Taiwan, China, India. So it was quite interesting to be on the other side, because you can always go and walk the aisles, and a lot of directors and writers actually go to pitch their projects to different production companies like us or others, and they just go like door by door pitching the project, and I've done that in the past. So it's a different type of experience, but this time we were there presenting content. So I met a lot of wonderful people. I learned a lot about what's needed on the market right now, because that's something you don't know unless you have an actual buyer saying, hey, do you have like a family film? Then I'm like, oh, so you're looking for family films now. Because each year they want something different. It changes really fast. What they want this year is not the same thing that they will want the next year. So it's interesting to know that it was very.
So there's a lot of in and out on
Yes.
on what they want.
There's trends, and there's also like cultural aspects that you have to consider. Like, for instance, China, they have a lot of censorship. So the films that they can buy, they're very restricted. One for the censorship and the other for the cultural aspect, because what's funny here might not be funny there. So you have to have a genre that translates into the China culture. So the type of films that like China looks for is more like action type of thing, or horror films with no gore, with no blood, with no sex, with no ghosts, nothing like like ghosty like. They want like monsters type of horror films. So that's interesting to know, and that's what they're looking like right now. But I don't know what they were looking 5 years ago, or they will be looking next year. One thing that I learned is that a very, very steady genre is horror films. So that's what we're like right now. Our slate for 2017 is more gearing towards horror films, because that's what the market wants. So you want to be able to provide what they are looking for.
So your research is more trying to stay with trends, with what the market's looking for, and then build a project around that?
Yes, right now it helps us because it's just easier to sell. So if we can find a good horror film that's very commercial, and also horror films are more gentle in terms of budgeting. You don't need that much money to do a horror film, like a quality horror film, because you don't need named actors. It's okay not to have named actors on horror films, because it makes the film more realistic. If you know that Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt and you see him in a horror, if it's the zombie film, then it's awesome. But I mean, it makes it a little bit of a detachment, because you know that it's an actor, as opposed to having like a known name. It can be your neighbor. It doesn't have to be like the big recognizable face. However, having a named actor helps you sell the film. So it's kind of a catch. But anywho, horror films are very, very forgiving in terms of the budget that we need, and also they are very marketable, and the market is demanding them. They want more horror films. So right now we're looking into that specific genre, but that doesn't mean that we won't do other films. I love like comedy films, romantic comedies. That's really fun to do too. But if you're gonna do a romantic comedy, you do need like the recognizable face that's gonna sell your film. It's really hard to sell a romantic comedy with no name talent attached. So then you can do it, but that means that you have to raise a little bit more money and get more investors on board so you can pay someone to be on your film, and that's going to help you market the film.
Amazing, amazing. So your projects of Hide in the Light, The Last Night In, The Broken Legacy, and The Last Train, those are all in-house products of GLIX Entertainment. Is that correct?
Two of them are 100% in-house. The Last Night In and Hide in the Light. The Broken Legacy, we were associate producers with Miguel Garzon, which is the writer-director. And The Last Train, we came on board later to market the film. So it's different levels of involvement. But the two that are 100% in-house are Hide in the Light and The Last Night In.
Wow. So what would you say is the hardest part of filmmaking?
Well, the hardest part. Let me think.
I guess it's all hard.
Or all easy.
Well, it probably comes easy to you.
It depends on how you look at it. No, I mean, when we are developing projects or working with someone else, raising the money, it's always tough. I mean, having money makes it so much easier because you can hire the fantastic stuntman that you need for your stunts, or you can pay a big actor to be on your film, or you can get a big soundstage so you don't have to worry about production sound or anything like that. So having money always helps, sadly, but it's how it is. So a big struggle for all filmmakers, for any independent filmmaker, is raising funds, and you see it every day. There's Indiegogo campaigns every single day going on for films. There's just people approaching you all the time trying to get funding. It's a big struggle. So I would say that one is the first one that you encounter, just raising the minimum funds that you need to produce your film. It's very, very tough because you need people to take a leap of faith and just trust you and your project. And if you have wonderful record, that's great. It's still hard, but it's great that you have a track record of selling films. But as a first-time director, it's really, really tough. A lot of filmmakers end up using like their own money or their uncle's money or someone they know money, because it's hard for someone to give you money when they don't know anything about you. They have to trust you. It's a risk. It's an investment. So that's the first challenge that you encounter. And for us, the other challenge that we saw was actually selling the content. Because once you have like the completed film and everything went great, everything's good, then you still have to like get it out there and have people interested in your film and have them see your film. And why that becomes challenging is because there are so many films out there right now. Like at AFM, the American film market, so many independent films. So it just makes sense. Like the buyers have a lot of more pool to choose from. There's a lot of competition. So if I'm a buyer, thinking it from their perspective, I have a lot of options to pick from. So I'm going to be very picky because I have a lot of options. So that's what's happening right now. They have way too many options and they can pick what they want, and then they can pay less because there's a lot of competition. So that's another aspect, just selling the film. So what we're trying to do and what we recommend is try to find the distribution before you start production. Like just see who might acquire your film, see if you can get a letter of intent, have a sales promise, like a letter, just a letter of intent of distribution would help. Because then when you complete the film, then you already have that step. Because it's a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy invested in a project for it to end up in a shelf. You want it to be out there. You want people to see it. So those are the two biggest, toughest parts of filmmaking from my perspective.
Cynthia,
I'm sure, yes.
What I've got to ask you is, you are busy 24/7. When do you find time for your love for salsa dancing?
I haven't done it in so long. I wish I had more time for that. I mean, it's compromising. I'm lucky to love what I do. So it's good. I don't feel bad that I don't go salsa dancing anymore, even though, as you said it, I love it. I love dancing. I love going to the movies, which I still do. I love spending time with my friends, which I still do, because luckily my friends are also in the industry, so that's great. And luckily my husband is in the industry, so that's also great. But yeah, I mean, you commit to it, and if you love what you do, then I mean, it's worth it. There's this saying that says that if you get a job that you love, you will never work a single day in your life. And that's my goal. My goal is to never work a single day in my life. Because
That's
every day is going to be just fun, and I'm passionate and I want to do it.
I've got to ask you, what are some opportunities and challenges of being a woman in the film industry? Do you think women have as many opportunities as their male counterparts?
No, but it's changing quickly. I think I'm in a good time where people have realized that it's not fair and there's a lot of discrepancy. Like as an actor, I'm sure you've read the news or people have heard about this, but a lead female actress does not get paid the same as the same leading male role. And I understand it in a way because I see it. There's a lot more actresses than actors. If you make the math, you have way more actresses. So it makes sense that, I mean, if the supply is higher than the demand, of course you can be pickier and pay less, because if she doesn't take it, then the next actress will take it. They have that option. But it's unfair because it's both same positions. So yes, women have been underpaid, and also there's not a lot of women directors. There's very little women screenwriters. There's very little women producers. So it is a minority in the industry. It's an industry that has been led by males for a long, long time, but it's changing. There's organizations, right, that are trying to change that, like Women in Film, which is actually promoting and supporting women in different positions in the film industry. But yes, when you go to a set, I see it. I mean, mostly they are guys, and it's because, I mean, that's how it was from the beginning. It's very rare to see like an all women set,
Right.
but they're being promoted, and more and more you see like all female crew, and that's awesome. Like you have actually like all the positions filled out with girls, with women. And but that also, I don't know, I find that very interesting too, because then it becomes a close group, and instead of finding someone that might be better for it, like let's say gaffing, gripping, or those like more like you need the strength to do the position, like as a grip you're going to be carrying 30-pound sandbags and 50-pound pieces of equipment. And I know women are very strong. I'm very strong. I'm feisty. I know I can do it, but I won't deny that a guy would do it with more ease. So it's like a double catch, because then you're like focused on having like an all-female crew, when it shouldn't be like that. It should be more like about equality. Like, just we both have the opportunity. Let's just do it. Let's help each other. And if women want to be in it, let's do it. But that I'm not completely in favor of closing the group and then doing all female.
Yeah.
I think a good mixture is good.
Where
It's
do you
healthy.
where do you get such energy and fire from?
I don't know. As my mommy, I don't know. I think I'm always like that. I've always been very like antsy, OCD. I just want to be doing things, and I don't know.
So I assume
But
I assume you like to produce more than act and direct.
yes, directing I've been doing way less. Because I just started. I mean, I did directing when I was in school, because you have to direct your own projects, but I haven't focused entirely on that. Producing came very, very easy to me because I did business before, and I was working in companies before, and I realized that producing and managing a company is exactly the same thing. You have to deal with employees, which are your crew members. You have to deal with providers, which are all your vendors in film. You have to deal with guilds. You have to optimize resources. You have to keep track of all the expenses, your accounting. So it's very similar. It's the exact same thing, but with different elements. So producing just came natural. Like I didn't actually look for it. I got into producing kind of by mistake. Like I was producing my own films, and then a friend of mine say, "Hey, can you produce my short?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it," and I did it just like help. And then she referred me to someone else, and then that someone else referred me to someone else, and that person said, "Hey, would you take 200 a day to produce my film?" I'm like, "What? You're gonna pay me?" Because I was doing it just for fun to help someone. And I was like, yes, of course. So that's how I started getting into like actual producing professionally, because they just offered to pay me, but in my mind I was just helping someone. So I got into producing, and then the people were paying me to produce. And then I thought, well, if they're paying me and trusting me with their resources, I better know what I'm doing. So I got into UCLA to get to the producing certificate, because I wanted to make like super sure that I was ready for it. And yeah, that's how I started producing. I didn't actually like apply for anything from the beginning. Now I do, like for line producing, I do put myself out there, but it's more by referrals. Just people like what I do. I'm responsible, I'm organized, and they just keep referring me to someone else. So we keep busy just like that.
So it sounds very exciting. You're going to be going back to Mexico. It sounds like you're in the middle of working on a feature film back in Mexico that's scheduled to come out in mid 2017.
Yes, that's we want to do Spirits is the name of the film, and it's around the Day of the Day celebration in my home state, which is a wonderful, wonderful like parade. Not parade. It's a celebration. We embrace the dead. But it's, I don't know if you're familiar with it. Dia de Muertos. It's called. So it's around that, and it's a horror film. But before that, I also have The Bone Box, which is another horror film that we're gonna film in, I think, February, March. And it's a wonderful script by Luke Genton, who it's about a grave robber who comes to believe that he's being hunted by those he stole from. So that's a really cool project that we have.
And that's called the Bone Box.
The Bone Box, yes. Garrett Corson is the lead. He's awesome. He's very committed. He's also helping producing. Gonzalo Di Genio is the cinematographer, who is my husband, as you might know by now. But that's the immediate next that we have. It's really good. I really like that script. It's very smart. It's location contained. It's an elevated horror film, very well written. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do Spirits, and then in between, like I said, we are picking up other projects, like just as the hired production company. So yes, many things are on the pipeline.
So as we start to come to a close for this great show, very inspiring, educational, I've got to ask you, what advice do you have for the young generation looking to get into the film industry? What advice do you have for them?
What I always tell people is to just do it. And I've heard this before, and it's so true. You just have to do it, because there's no other way of learning. Like, there's no better way of learning than doing it. And like any other place, you can find a million excuses for not doing what you love. A million of them. In every area, not only in the entertainment industry. But you just need to follow your heart, commit to your passion, don't be afraid, and do it. Because if you fail, it can only make you stronger. You'll stand up and go to the next one, and it's going to be better. And you will learn in the process, and you will be doing what you love. So there's no excuses. You can have a short film done with your iPhone if you wanted to. You can have a film done with your friends. You can do it whenever you want to. If that's what you want to do, there will be no excuse that is stronger than your will to fulfill your purpose, if that makes any sense.
It sure does. So, in closing, what's next for you?
What's next for me? Christmas time. I'm excited about that. I need a little break. I think I deserve it.
Anything planned for the holidays?
Yes, I'm going back to Mexico with my family to spend the holidays there. So I'm very excited right now about that. I mean, right now I'm wrapping up some projects that I worked on. I just wrapped up 600 Miles, another feature film. So we still have like some scenes that we have to pick up and stuff like that. I did another YouTube series of a cooking show. So we are editing that. Like we are like wrapping up several projects that we did and prepping for the next ones. But Christmas is coming, and we're gonna enjoy it.
Well, listen, I want to thank you very much for making the time to come on the show. It's been very enjoyable and very enlightening, and as I said, very educational. That if my audience, if no one knows of Cynthia Bravo, award-winning producer, director, and actress, if you don't know of her today, you're going to hear about her tomorrow. And I'm sure I'm hoping that you remember me, and that you remember to bring me along to the Oscars one day with you.
Absolutely. How can I forget you? Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
But,
and as you know, this is my first podcast, so I cannot forget you. It's impossible.
Remember you first. And I want you to remember that Mom has an invitation to come on the show.
There you go. I'll tell her.
But I do have to say, when I started off the show, there's no question about Cynthia Bravo with her IMDb page. That's IMDb. You've got to go to it. Her page. It's there's no question about it. This young lady has a tremendous heart full of passion. She's got a soul that will never stop fighting, and she's got a smile that will always shine. And I just want to say to all my listeners, thank you very much, Cynthia Bravo, for being on the show. I want all my listeners to know that they can like us on Facebook, follow us on the YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, leave a comment on YouTube channel. If anyone would like to hear past podcast shows, we're now on the iTunes platform. If you'd like to share your story, ideas, and be a guest on the show, just go to deanbleckman.com and email me directly at dean@deanbleckman.com. Have a great day.
You've been listening to The Dean Bleckman Show, live from Long Island, New York. From all of us here, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. We look forward to hearing your comments via Facebook, Twitter, Skype, and email. And don't forget, you can visit the webpage anytime for the up-and-coming guest list. From all of us here, have a good evening.